Fox Sports.
This long 10-game road trip concludes in Los Angeles. A chance today for the Diamondbacks to make it 2 consecutive series wins over the Dodgers. In today's finale, it's Patrick Corbin and Bud Norris as we wrap up the roadie from L.A. Diamondbacks baseball is brought to you by Sanderson Ford. Good afternoon from Dodger Stadium. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brentley along the way. This is the finale of this 3-city 10-game road trip. Bob, it hasn't all gone the way we would have hoped it had, but a chance at least to finish with a series win here against the Dodgers.
Yeah, and that's always something, a series win against the Dodgers, but playing the Reds and the Brewers at the beginning of this road trip, you really would have hoped for much better. The Reds 21 games under 500. Statistically the worst pitching staff in baseball. Kind of got off to an odd start. The Diamondbacks took a lead in all 3 games in Cincinnati in the first and gave it right back in the bottom of the first.
Well, hopefully some inertia provided by Braden Shipley's second major league start last night. The Diamondbacks with the trade deadline coming up on Monday. Busy today. Tyler Clippard traded to the Yankees for minor league pitcher Vicente Campos. Clippard 2-3, a 4.30 ERA.
Well, we knew there were going to be some changes in the bullpen. Tyler Clippard, a little bit of a surprise, but some roles are changing down in that bullpen. We saw Jake Barrett come in to get the save in the ball game last night. Expect some more changes down there moving forward.
And the Diamondbacks save about $5.5 million in salary for next year, but Dave Stewart said today this was not financially motivated. They like Campos, who will begin in Mobile, 24-year-old right-hander, 9-3 at 3 different levels in the Yankee system this year.
Yeah, a lot to like there for Campos. Really looking forward to seeing him out on the mound.
So we are set to go. Say cheese. It's the D-backs and the Dodgers. The road trip wraps up from L.A. Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. By Oregano. Step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run at Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Lone Butte Casino. Get in on big wins. By your Valley Chevy dealers. Find a great deal on select 2016 vehicles at the Chevy Summer Sell Down. Visit your Valley Chevy dealer now. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by Gigablast, 100 times more powerful internet from Cox. Bring on tomorrow. A sunny Sunday in Los Angeles, California. D-back Nation in the house. We are set to go the series finale. Patrick Corbin and Bud Norris. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Beautiful summer day, a little warm here in Los Angeles, but we'll make it work at 86 degrees. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson along the way. It's Arizona Diamondbacks baseball brought to you by Sanderson Ford. The D-backs 3-6 on the 10-game road trip, and a chance to close it out with a second consecutive series win over the Dodgers in your Valley Chevy lineup for Chip Hale's ball club here today.
So Chip's going to line him up this afternoon. Gene Segura at second base leading off. Michael Bourne out in center field. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Jake Lamb at third. Yasmani Tomas out in left field with David Peralta back in the lineup in right field. Chris Owings moves into shortstop today with Tuffy Gosowich doing the catching for left-hander Patrick Corbin.
Dodgers begin today 2 games behind the Giants for the lead in the National League West. San Francisco hosting the Nationals today at AT&T Park. That's Gio Gonzalez and Matt Cain. Washington comes in at Chase Field tomorrow to open up a 3-game series. How about this game tomorrow night? Steven Strasburg and Archie Bradley. So get your tickets for that one, fans, at dbacks.com. We'll see you back home tomorrow. Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for LA is the veteran right-hander Bud Norris. Traded from Atlanta to the Dodgers at the end of June of this year. Between the Braves and LA this year, he's gone 6-9 with an ERA at 4.27.
Yeah, to say he's a 2-pitch pitcher might be pushing it a little bit. He throws 3 different fastballs, a sinker, a cutter, a 4-seamer. He will throw a slider as his primary breaking pitch. He mixes in an occasional straight changeup. Coming off a real strong outing against the Tampa Bay Rays, went 6 1/3, gave up only 2 hits of shutout baseball in that game.
Little different look to the lineup for Dave Roberts here this afternoon. Our eye on defense for the Dodgers brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers. New look certainly in the outfield at least.
Can't take your eyes off of him. You never know what he might do. Yasiel Puig in right field. Enrique Hernandez in center field. Howie Kendrick back in left. Justin Turner, Corey Seager on the left side of the infield with Chris Taylor and Scott Van Slyke this afternoon on the right side. Osmani Grandal behind the plate for right-hander Bud Norris.
Kike Hernandez, the center fielder, activated just before the ball game today. Todd Tischner has the plate allow the balls and strikes. Ryan Blakeney, Brian Knight, and the crew chief Bill Miller is at third. Dodgers didn't distribute a lineup to the media until just about an hour before the game time. And of course, with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow, there was a lot of speculation that a big deal was in the works. They've been linked to Jay Bruce and Chris Archer and Matt Moore, a whole bunch of guys, but no major moves as of yet from LA.
That's just the nature of the beast this time of year. Somebody that's out of the lineup that's normally a starter or a late lineup like today starts the rumors flying around the ballpark.
And Jay Bruce was held out of the Reds lineup today in their ball game. Dodgers had a couple of top minor league prospects who were not in the lineup. And so speculation started flying, but nothing yet to announce. Gene Segura will lead it off at 3-12 and 9 homers as the D-backs try to take 2 of 3 here at Dodger Stadium. Ball one to Segura, who doubled and homered last night. His 4th leadoff home run this year and the 5th of his career. Got an 0-2 fastball from Scott Kazmir and took it out to left. Gene ahead 2-0 against Bud Norris.
And not only the home run to left field to start the ball game last night, but another double down the left field line, something we haven't seen a lot of from Gene Segura this year, looking to pull pitches from the middle of the plate in.
Yeah, that got him plunked by Baez to start the 7th inning. It took one in the back of the arm again on the first pitch of the at-bat, which was a little suspicious. Segura ahead 3-0. He's hitting over 320 on this road trip. He's doubled 4 times and homered twice. Talk about the energy that Segura has provided at the top of this lineup for the Diamondbacks all year long. If you watch Gene in the dugout just before first pitch, he starts on one end, goes down the entire row with every teammate, has a different handshake for every guy, and finishes with Chip Hale down the far end. He is the energizer and the instigator, and he draws a leadoff walk.
Center fielder number 1, Michael Bourn.
And not so much the case with Gene Segura, because by all reports he's a heads-up player, knows the signs, but would venture a guess that some of these guys that can remember 15 different handshakes don't know what the bunt sign is.
Well, that does happen. Michael Bourn. Segura 17 stolen bases on the year. He's been caught 7 times. Justin Turner coming in a couple of steps at third base to guard against the bunt from Bourn. Diamondbacks quick starters last night, 1 in the first and 2 in the second against Scott Kazmir. Segura holds it first, and that pitch is in there for a strike. It's 0-1 on Michael Bourn. 262 and 2 home runs for Michael. Trade deadline is tomorrow, and with the way that Bourn has played this year, you thought, well, maybe the D-backs will get some calls on Michael Bourn from a team looking for another outfielder. But Dave Stewart said today they've had minimal interest in Michael Bourn from other ball clubs. It's a little bit surprising. 0-2. Stu also said they've had very minimal interest in Ricky Weeks Jr. A couple of veteran bats who have performed very well for the Diamondbacks this year. Now Van Slyke at first and Grandal behind the plate going out to the mound. Something might be wrong with Bud Norris here. Trainer coming out with Dave Roberts. And Grandal is waving in the entire infield.
tweak something there.
Yep. And you don't always know what it is as a teammate behind a pitcher, but you know he's doing something differently than you normally see, and that's the red flag. Grandal went out, Van Slyke went out. Eventually they called out Dave Robertson, the trainer, to take a look at Bud Norris. Yeah, grabbing at that right side.
That's an oblique. Going to give him a couple of warm-up tosses here. Dodgers rotation has been decimated by injuries all year long. They're still without Kershaw, without Brett Anderson, without Hyunjin Ryu, all on the DL right now. And they have been rumored to be in trade talks with Tampa Bay about either Chris Archer or Matt Moore. So don't be surprised if they supplement their rotation before the deadline, which is 1 o'clock West Coast time tomorrow. Bud Norris going to stay in there for the moment.
It's funny you mentioned the interest in Michael Bourn. Not quite what we thought it might be. Back in 2011, the Braves acquired Michael Bourn from the last placed Astros on this day, hoping to add some punch to their offense.
There was a team that needed a veteran fourth outfielder type. Michael Bourn would fit the bill. Howie Kendrick came in from left field during that break. Little equipment check for Howie, and he'll jog back out there and we can get going again.
Now, I don't think this is going to end well for Bud Norris. Those things don't go away.
Ask Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
Zach, by the way, will make a start this week at Reno, which would put him on course to return in that series against the Mets coming up later this week at Chase Field. I believe it's Wednesday that Greinke will pitch for Reno. 1-2 on Bourn.
Bud Norris probably trying to protect against the pain that he feels when he really extends. This is where you start altering your delivery and trying to protect one injury. You become susceptible to another injury somewhere else.
Bud Norris pitched very well in his previous start. He beat Tampa Bay here at Dodger Stadium on Tuesday of last week. 6 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball. Gave up only 2 hits. His best start as a Dodger so far. And Norris beat the Diamondbacks earlier this month at Chase Field. Wasn't great. 4 runs, 8 hits, and 5, but he got the victory in a 13-7 LA win. Two and 2 to Michael Bourn. Segura holding all the way, and Michael slaps that one foul. Michael hitting .212 in 9 games on the road trip. He has played a lot. One of 3 left-hand bats in there for Chip Hale against the right-hander Norris today. And as Michael Bourn so often does, he's worked the count, fouled off a few 2-strike pitches, and now it's full. There is a wind that's blowing fairly steady right out to center field. Segura takes off on the 3-2 pitch, and Bourn pulls it down the line, but foul.
Thank goodness for that little bit of breeze that the players must be feeling down at field level. It's another hot day here in Southern California.
And you can see that center field area still damaged a bit by the evening they had here Thursday on the off night, honoring Vin Scully. Fleetwood Mac was here. They had a concert, set up a stage out there, and you can see around Kike Hernandez out there a lot of brown patches. So the field's a little bit beat up out there, but not too bad. Segura goes one more time, and Bourne pops it up behind the second base bag. Taylor drifting out there, and he's got it.
Sun will be a factor for guys in the middle of the field early in the ball game. Second baseman, shortstop, center fielder. And once again, the trainer and Dave Roberts making their way out to the mound.
Boy, when pitchers get these obliques, it's really dangerous because from what I understand, they can get a whole lot worse in a hurry, right?
Yeah, my understanding of those oblique injuries, especially for a pitcher, because you can imagine as you extend, you take that stride toward home plate and your throwing arm comes forward, and the stress and strain that puts on the right side of your body for a right-handed pitcher, as I said before, it's not going to go away.
I see Ross Stripling sort of getting loose in the Dodger bullpen, and he is going to come into the ball game. Bud Norris will exit. So Bud Norris's start today lasts only 2 batters. Dodgers starter leaves with an injury. Back with more after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for the Dodgers,
Often is, as the Dodgers starter Bud Norris has had to leave the ball game with an apparent oblique injury. When we get the confirmation on that, we'll pass it along to you. And in the meantime, Ross Stripling, who has come on from the bullpen here, he was not throwing at all, so he will, I imagine, need a while here to get going. 26-year-old right-hander. He's made 11 appearances with the Dodgers this year, his first season in the big leagues. 8 starts. A 2-3 record, a 4.09 ERA. He faced the Diamondbacks in his second major league start here at Dodger Stadium. That was last April 14th. Gave up 2 earned on 5 hits in 6 innings, a walk and 5 strikeouts.
He's the closest thing the Dodgers have to a long man in that bullpen. He last pitched on Wednesday, threw 50 pitches in that ball game. Looks like it's going to be a bullpen day for the Dodgers. Stripling, not a big-time strikeout pitcher, tries to pitch to contact, keep the ball on the ground.
And you may recall Stripling in his major league debut made a start at AT&T Park in San Francisco on April 8th and had a no-hitter going. He had to be pulled from the ball game with a no-hitter after 7 1/3 innings because of a high pitch count, a decision that even Stripling said made perfect sense at the time. He had no bad feelings at all toward Dave Roberts. Came out after exactly 100 pitches and wound up with a no decision in that ball game. Walked 4, struck out 4. He had been coming off Tommy John surgery, so they were going to be very careful with Ross Stripling. And now he'll have to pick up the slack for Bud Norris, who's left with an injury of his own. Stripling, a 5th-round pick by the Dodgers 4 years ago out of Texas A&M. He's an Aggie. Coming out of spring training this year, he had never pitched above Double-A ball, but was awarded that 5th starter spot and a spot on the opening day roster with LA's rotation decimated by injuries, and now it appears they may have another one.
2 years in a row, the Dodgers went into spring training thinking they had a surplus of starting pitching. In both years, they needed to test their depth early on.
Well, we were talking moments ago about how they have reportedly been in discussions with Tampa Bay about either Chris Archer or Matt Moore, and it looks like the price just went up. They've also been linked to Rich Hill and Josh Reddick with the Oakland A's, Jay Bruce with the Cincinnati Reds. All kinds of rumors swirling around LA today.
Yeah, Josh Reddick was in the lineup for the A's today. I believe he still is in the lineup. And Rich Hill battling a blister problem.
Yeah.
Could be problematic.
And apparently the A's have told people there will be no conditional deals on Rich Hill. You will take him as is. So Stripling, who, as we mentioned, was not throwing at all. He's starting from scratch here, so this could take a while. So while we have a moment, let's remind you fans, Zack Greinke Bobblehead Day is coming up at Chase Field. That's Saturday, August 6th. The first 20,000 fans to the Diamondbacks game against the Brewers. That's a 5:10 start. Get the Zack Greinke Bobblehead. That's courtesy of Safelite Auto Glass, and you can get your tickets at dbacks.com. Zack Greinke will start Wednesday for AAA Reno. One more minor league rehab start coming off an oblique injury of his own, and then he should be on course to start against the Mets next weekend at Chase Field.
Boy, will that be a welcome return.
Who said it?
Tough trying to find innings out of that starting rotation, at least when Zack Greinke was healthy. There was one time through the rotation where you were pretty sure you were going to get 6, 7, 8 strong innings out of your starting pitcher, give that bullpen a little bit of a rest.
Well, the rotation certainly got a boost last night here, Bob, with the second major league start of Braden Shipley. Boy, did he look good. 6 scoreless innings, gave up only 5 hits, walked 1, which was very encouraging, and had 4 strikeouts, 11 ground ball outs.
Yeah, put that ball on the ground all night long. His defense was up to the task.
And so when Zack Greinke does come back, presumably over the weekend, Braden Shipley won't necessarily be the guy who gets moved. They're going to look at all their starting pitchers and see where they are. But based on what they saw last night, you have to love what you've seen from Braden Shipley moving forward.
Boy, absolutely. Unless there are some kind of contractual issues or something like that, you got to believe Braden Shipley has made a big impression in his first 2 starts. He was pretty good against the Brewers, made a couple of mistakes, and they got hit out of the ballpark. But other than that, his stuff was really good in Milwaukee, but especially good here at Dodger Stadium last night.
So here we go with Paul Goldschmidt at the plate. Gene Segura at first after the leadoff walk. And 1 out in the top of the first inning. Bud Norris, the Dodger starter, leaves the game only 2 batters in. How about Stripling? He was down there reading a comic book or something. Suddenly he's in the game. He's got Segura at first, and he's got to face Goldie. Get in there, kid.
This is your first inning wake-up call.
And you better be awake. 299 and 17 home runs for Goldie. 0 for 4 last night, following his 3-hit game Friday. Goldie hitting .353 on the road trip. 2 extra base hits, a home run in Cincinnati, and his double in the 7th Friday night that drove in 3. Segura holding in first. That one missed inside, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Swings through the 2-1. Long look down to Matt Williams at third. Dave McKay coaching at first. Segura takes off for second. Goldie takes the pitch. It's a ball, and the throw from Grandal is offline. It rolls into center, and Segura gets third. 18th stolen base of the year for Jean Segura, and he gets a free 90 feet.
Grandal's thrown out 22% on the season this year, but Gene got a really good jump that time. His throw to second base was on the shortstop side of the bag and gets through both Taylor and Seager into shallow center field, allowing Segura to move up to third base on the E2.
And it's a full count on Goldie with Jake Lamb on deck. D-backs have scored so often in the first inning on this road trip and threatening to do it again right here. Just does reach down and get a piece of that one.
Emergency swing on a breaking ball, working its way out of the strike zone, low and away. Just reaches out there and wastes that pitch from Stripling. Throw him at least one more.
Wind really gusting now out to center field. Lays off that one and takes a walk. 2 walks in the inning for the Diamondbacks. And Segura at third, Goldie at first, 1 out for Jake Lamb.
Jake Lamb.
Jake hitting .282, 21 home runs and 65 RBIs.
Stripling, one of those guys with the reverse splits. Lefties have hit .209 against him this year, while right-handers have hit .269.
Off the mask of Grandal, and it's 0-1. Monty Grandal back there again after the night game last night.
Like I got him on that extension on the left side of the mask. You can see how it kind of sticks out a little bit on the right and left side there to protect the ears.
Oh, 0-2 on Jake. Jake with a pair of hits in this series, his only hits on the road trip, as he has spent much of the trip dealing with that bruise on his left hand, but the swings have looked a whole lot better this weekend. A dribbler to second. Taylor bobbles the ball, and they get the out at second. Segura scores to make it 1-0 Diamondbacks.
I don't know about that one.
Brian Knight says out.
Well, it looked like Brian Knight wasn't in a great position to see whether Taylor recovered in time, whether Seager got that ball before Goldie got on the base. He shows it after the play is over, but I'm not so sure Brian Knight had a good look at that.
I think he might have kicked it to Corey Seager. No argument from Goldie, who walks back to the dugout. Chip Hale still on the top step.
Regardless of the result of that call at second base, the Diamondbacks take an early lead here as Jean Segura came across to score.
And no challenge from the Diamondbacks. So a run is in. Lamb at first, 2 outs for Yasmani Tomas. Batting 5th in the lineup today. It's a 4-6 put out at second base. The RBI for Lamb. Tomas swings at the first pitch and rolls it to third for Turner. And that's the end of the inning. But just like last night, the Diamondbacks score in the top of the first. Patrick Corbin coming up with a 1-0 lead. Home half coming up, and your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks is Patrick Corbin, who leads all National League pitchers in earned runs allowed. He has won just twice in his last 12 starts.
Has not given up a stolen base yet this year. He puts the ball on the ground. 205 ground ball outs this season, the 4th highest total among National League starters.
Take a look now with your Valley Chevy lineup for Dave Roberts and his LA Dodgers.
Howie Kendrick will lead it off. He's out in left field. Corey Seager at shortstop. Justin Turner at third base. Then some changes. Van Slyke at first. Yasmani Grandal doing the catching. Yasiel Puig in right field. Kike Hernandez in center field. Chris Taylor at second base. And now Ross Stripling on the mound for the injured Bud Norris.
Howie Kendrick hitless in the series, 0 for 5, and he takes strike one, 270 and 6 home runs. Just the 9th start this year in the leadoff spot for Howie Kendrick. He's done well as a leadoff man when he is in there. Very well, in fact. 14 for 30 from the leadoff spot. Patrick Corbin strikes him out on 3 pitches to start the ball game. Our eye on defense for the D-backs, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Michael Bourne in center field, flanked by Yasmani Tomas in left. David Peralta in right field. It'll be Lamb and Owens on the left side of the infield. Segura and Goldschmidt on the right side, with Tuffy Gilsowich doing the catching today for lefty Patrick Corbin. Good start for Patrick.
Corey Seager now. 4 hits in this series. 3 of them are doubles. He's been a doubles machine this year. He's got 30 on the year. 307 and 17 home runs. Two and 0. Left-hand bat for Seager in the 2-hole today. He's homered 4 times against left-hand pitching this season. Hitting just over 240 versus lefties. That's a 90-point drop in his batting average when compared to him facing a right-hander. Patrick behind, 3 balls and a strike. Corey Seager leading all major league rookies in hits, doubles, and multi-hit games. Full count, 3-2. Justin Turner on deck. Reaches out and knocks it the other way in front of Yasmani Tomas. A 1-out single for Corey Seager. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealer. Key to the game.
Well, for Patrick Corbin, it would be nice to follow the leader, and by leader we're talking about a starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks last night, Braden Shipley. 11 ground ball outs in his outing last night. We know Patrick is capable of throwing those ground balls, so I'd like to see him follow the leader.
And when he's been at his best this year, he's especially Wrigley Field in that start against the Cubs, he's really been a ground ball pitcher. Justin Turner 1 for 9 in the series. He doubled last night. Ball 1 to Turner, who's hitting .268 with 18 home runs this year. And a solid run producer as of late. 15 RBIs in 13 games since the All-Star break.
talking about Corey Seager, and you gave a lot of his numbers this season having an outstanding rookie year, but that rookie of the year in the National League is going to be interesting this year. I mean, Trevor Story's putting up some ridiculous numbers in Colorado. Of course, we know a lot of writers penalize Rockies for playing half their games at Coors Field, but that'll be an interesting vote.
David Peralta in right field. 2 outs. You know, the Rockies have played very well since the All-Star break. They're in the wild card picture now. They're only a handful of games out of that second National League spot.
Going into play today, 8 games behind the Giants in the National League West at even 500, 52 and 52.
Scott Van Slyke to start at first base today. Adrian Gonzalez has the day off. 241 and 1 home run. His only homer this year came against Patrick Corbin in June. That was at Chase Field. And Slyke 1 for 3 in the series. He has singled and walked. Only his 4th start of the year at first base. Well, Patrick Corbin so far 14 pitches, 7 balls, 7 strikes, behind on Van Slyke 2-0. Diamondbacks overload the left-hand side of the infield. Missed inside, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. Yasmani Grandal on deck. Fastball's in there, and it's 3-1.
Well, you could tell from his approach there, Van Slyke had the green light 3-0. Fortunately, Patrick Corbin put that pitch in a perfect spot out there on the outside corner at the knees.
What about the approach gave that away, that he had the green light?
Oh, he had his bat back in a hitting position. He took his normal stride. He was ready to swing at that pitch if it was close to the middle of the zone.
The 3-1 misses. Well, the bases on balls have continued to be an issue for Patrick Corbin. He walked 3 in his last start Tuesday at Milwaukee. And he's walked at least 3 batters 6 times in his last 9 starts. And Chip Hale has said the Diamondbacks are the poster child for walks that wind up scoring. Patrick, the 1-0 lead, has 2 on and 2 out for Yasmani Grandal. 211 and 14 home runs. Ball 1. Yasmani Grandal, a switch hitter. All but one of his home runs this year have come from the other side of the plate, the left-hand side. But he's hitting over 50 points better as a right-hand batter this year. 2-0.
Yeah, really not uncommon for a switch hitter to have splits like that. One side of the plate, you're more of a contact hitter, have a better command of the strike zone, and the other side, you've got a little more thump.
Patrick Corbin really having problems throwing strikes, behind on Grandal 3-0. So far 20 pitches in the ball game and only 8 strikes. Went to a 3-2 count on Seager. Walked Van Slyke, now 3-0 on Grandal. And the bases are loaded for Yasiel Puig. Butcher.
Right field, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Well, as you may recall, Patrick in his last start at Miller Park came close to not surviving the first inning. He got the first two guys he faced on a fly ball and a grounder. And then the next 6 Brewers hitters reached safely. A walk, 2 singles, another walk, 2 more singles. They had a runner thrown out at the plate to end that inning and finally get the 3rd out. But Patrick threw nearly 40 pitches in that first inning. And he said no matter what pitch he threw, he just couldn't get out of it. Now he's in a bases loaded jam and facing Puig.
If there's any silver lining at all to this first inning so far for Patrick, it's the fact that he's missing down. He's missing below the bottom of the strike zone. When you make mistakes in the middle and up over the plate, that's when you really get hurt.
Puig 254 and 7 homers. Coming off a left hamstring injury that has kept him out most of the last 10 days. And Corbin starts him off with ball 1. Puig flied out to center as a pinch hitter in that wild 7th inning Friday night and remained the game in right field. He did not play last night. There's a strike and it's 1-1. It's been the left hamstring, the same injury that kept him out for nearly 3 weeks in June when he was on the DL. Which may or may not have been a phantom DL. They're trying to still fix some things mechanically with Yasiel Puig. He fights that one off, and Patrick is a strike away. Puig has been the subject of trade rumors with deadline coming up tomorrow, and really hasn't done much of anything at all offensively this year. He has really struggled against fastballs. No matter where it is in the zone, he's just not connecting.
Shouldn't even have to say it, but another good block by Tuffy Gosewich with a runner at 3rd base, potentially saving a run right there.
Yeah, you get used to saying it so often, eventually you just take it for granted.
It's a surprise when one gets behind Tuffy.
Bases loaded, 2 outs, 2-2 on Puig. Did he go? No, he didn't. Ryan Blakeney says and it's a full count, 3-2. Patrick has gone to 3 ball counts on 3 consecutive hitters. Got Seager at 3rd, Van Slyke at 2nd, Grandal at 1st. 2 outs and a full count on Yasiel Puig. Bounce to 3rd. Jake Lamb has it. And yes, he did. He beat Van Slyke to the bag. A risky play there for Jake, and he was just quick enough to get there before Van Slyke can hold the phone. Dave Roberts on the top step. They will have a look in the Dodger clubhouse. Diamondbacks have come off the field.
Risky play here by Jake. The easy play is to go to 2nd base for the force or throw across the diamond to 1st base. But as we know, Jake Lamb has had some throwing issues. Looked like he wasn't real sure of himself and tries to win that foot race. Oh, man.
Boy, that's close.
Really close.
Dodgers will challenge. The first angle looked like Jake was there. The second one, you're not convinced. And we'll see what New York says.
Yeah, no doubt that's problematic. If you've got a 3rd baseman that's afraid to make a throw across the diamond and take the easy play, you're going to have some issues defensively. Boy, that's about as close as it could get. It looked like Van Slyke may have gotten that toe cleat on the bag slightly ahead of Jake Lamb, but
well, you're going to need an angle that gives you a definitive look that Van Slyke beat it to overturn the call. If they do win the challenge, it'll be a tie ball game. And the bases will still be loaded. Well, remember the hour and 13-minute long inning in the 7th Friday. This one's already at 40 minutes, and he is out at third. So Jake Lamb just sneaks the foot in there, and Patrick Corbin leaves them loaded. They dodge a bullet. It's still 1-0 D-backs. Stadium, and they lead it 1-0 as we start the second. Greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. LA only 2 games behind the Giants for the NL West lead, and San Francisco just underway now against the Nationals at AT&T Park. Matt Cain and Gio Gonzalez. The Rockies trail in New York 6-4 against the Mets, and the Padres just underway at Petco Park against the Cincinnati Reds. Homer Bailey making his return from Tommy John surgery for the Reds. David Peralta, the freight train, back on the tracks. He'll lead off the second against Ross Stripling, who had to come on in the first inning when Bud Norris left with an apparent oblique injury after only 2 batters.
This Dodgers bullpen has been really used hard over the last 37 ball games. They've thrown 147 2/3 innings, nearly 4 innings per game out of the bullpen, and they're going to need a lot more than that here today.
Don't know exactly how stretched out Ross Stripling is. He's made 11 appearances this year, 8 of them starts. His first season in the big leagues. But with that many starts, you imagine he might be able to give them at least some length here today. Peralta ahead, 2 balls and no strikes. The shift is on. .260 and 4 homers for Peralta. Tripled at his only at bat last night. He went 0 for 2 Friday. Hits it into the shift. Van Slyke lays out, makes a nice play, and Stripling is there.
Shortstop, number 16, Chris Owings.
3 hops over there to Van Slyke, who makes a nice diving play. That's a big, long frame. He covers a lot of ground when he lays out on that right side. And Stripling gets over there in good shape to get the out.
Big dude at 6'4", 215, Scott Van Slyke. Chris Owings at shortstop today. CO batting .263. He's homered twice. 2 hits in the series, an RBI single Friday, a run scoring double in last night's win. Most of the greater coverage of baseball news today is about the trade deadline, and the trade deadline hot stove, if you want to call it that, was heating up today when Jonathan Lucroy apparently rejected a trade from the Brewers to the Indians. KK Hernandez in center field. Lucroy has a limited no trade clause in his contract, and the Indians were one of the teams on the list, and apparently he was told he was going to be a backup catcher, play some first, play some DH for the Tribe, and that was not good enough for him to waive that no trade clause.
Can't blame him for that.
So Lucroy is still out there. Tuffy Gozawish, the Diamondback catcher. 192 and a home run in 8 games this year. Of course, everybody in Cleveland, even though they didn't get Lucroy, at least not yet, excited about the acquisition of Andrew Miller from the Yankees. So the Indians are going for it. Traded a very good prospect in Frazier to get Miller from the Yankees. Saw Frazier in the Fall League not too long ago. He might become their #1 prospect in that Yankee system. Tuffy lifts that into the seats, and it's 1-2. This is Tuffy's 3rd start behind the plate on the road trip. He is 0 for 10 since he homered against the Blue Jays at Chase Field just before the start of the trip.
I understand loyalty to your own guys, but if you're the Cleveland Indians, you're really going to have Jonathan Lucroy as a backup to a guy that's hitting 165 this season?
Yan Gomes.
Yeah.
They love him defensively and the way he handles that pitching staff, but yeah, Lucroy is a major upgrade offensively.
Yeah. And you certainly don't lose anything defensively with Jonathan Lucroy.
Corey Seager at shortstop. 1, 2, 3 seconds for Ross Stripling. Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers 1-0. In history, it's presented by Geico.
And on this day, 2005, name that Molina. It's America's favorite game. The correct answers are Benji and Jose. They both homered off the big unit. In the Angels' 8-7 loss at Yankee Stadium, 2/3 of the Molinas homering off Randy Johnson in one game. So thanks for playing America's favorite game. Name that Molina.
Name that Molina. I'm sure that's a day RJ would rather forget.
Here's Kike Hernandez, just activated from the DL before the ball game today. And he blasts that one to the left field corner. Well, Hernandez is traditionally a guy who feasts on left-hand pitching, and he's back from the DL and looking healthy. His 6th double this year.
Fastball up and out over the plate. That's the kind of pitch you're looking for when you're back in the lineup for the first time in a while. Something up that you can really drive. And boy, did he drive that one down into the corner.
Kike Hernandez, who had a nice season last year, hitting under 190 this year. He has missed the last month with left rib cage inflammation. Just finished up a 6-game rehab stint in the minor leagues, and Austin Barnes was optioned to make room for Hernandez, who doubles to lead off the second. That brings up Chris Taylor, the second baseman. Missed inside, and it's 1-0. Taylor between Seattle and LA this year, hitting .222 with a home run, just under 50 plate appearances. Acquired by the Dodgers in the middle of June from the Mariners in a trade for pitcher Zach Lee. Short right, long run in for Peralta. Segura will handle it near the line, and that's the first out in the second.
Boy, that's a nice play by Gene Segura. I mentioned that afternoon sun here. He was looking right up into it as he caught that pop up out in shallow right field.
Ross Stripling.
Really battling that sun. Makes a little adjustment right at the very end. Catches it down about chest high.
And not a cloud in the sky overhead. The pitcher Ross Stripling. Stripling came into the ball game only 2 batters in the top of the first. Bud Norris had to leave with an injury. Looked like an oblique. 1 for 12 at the plate this year for Stripling. Only 32 pitches in for Patrick Corbin, and still more balls than strikes. Patrick, in his previous start Tuesday in Milwaukee, allowed 4 runs, 6 hits, and 5 innings. And after that very bumpy first, when he threw nearly 40 pitches, he settled down after that and did a pretty nice job. So hopefully we'll see the same thing here today, but he's behind on the pitcher, 2-1. Patrick facing the Dodgers for the 4th time this year. 3 previous starts versus Los Angeles. 0-2 with a 5.51 ERA. Stripling fouls that off, and it's even 2-2.
You know, it's one thing as a starting pitcher facing an opposing lineup. You expect to work hard to get out guys like Howie Kendrick and Corey Seager and Justin Turner, the guys at the top of the order. You know that there's going to be some lengthy at bats, some foul balls, and trying to work around them, whatever the case may be. But you'd really like to bury those guys at the bottom of the order. Finish the at bat quickly. Save some pitches down at the bottom, knowing you're going to have to throw extra pitches to the top of the order.
Tuffy hangs on, shows that one to Todd Tishner, and Corbin gets the strikeout, his second of the ball game. From at least one standpoint, Patrick's getting a break today. There's no Chase Utley in the lineup. There's no Adrian Gonzalez. There's no Jock Peterson. All left-hand hitters. Howie Kendrick struck out on 3 pitches in the leadoff spot today.
Well, if you could figure out a way to get a nickel for every foul ball that Howie Kendrick hits against the Diamondbacks, you would retire way early.
Be a rich man.
He is a tough out. And Kendrick has had a big month at the plate. He's hitting over .350 in July. Corbin ahead 0-2. He strikes out Kendrick for the second time in the ball game. 3 strikeouts for Corbin. He strands that leadoff double and keeps it a 1-0 D-backs lead.
Patrick Corbin, followed by Jean Segura, though, for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jody Jackson back with you. Last night after the game, I asked Chip Hale how Jean was after getting plunked with the 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He said he was okay, but he thought about giving him the day off today, so he went over to him and said, how about a day off? Jean said, no way. He's in there, guys. Of course, we've seen how tough he is. He continues to get hit by pitches, but Jean Segura, not one to come out of the lineup easily.
Well, Chip Hale, last time that happened, as Segura mentioned the word retribution, that was Chip's word, and he said, look, the other teams have to know if you're going to hit our guys, there will be retribution. And we haven't seen anything that suggests that's in play here today, but it was very suspicious. And I know Luis Gonzalez, BB, was very upset about this last night on the radio side, that after Segura hit a leadoff homer, then an RBI double in his first 2 at-bats, he got plunked by Baez. In that 7th inning on the first pitch, right in the shoulder, back of the arm. And it sure looks suspicious. So we'll see if they do retaliate here today.
Yeah, I had 2 outs in the inning with the runner at second base and first base open at the time, too. Everything smelled like rotten fish.
Yeah, in that inning, the first 2 batters were retired. And then Phil Gosselin hit a pinch hit double. He was at second, first base open, and bang. Patrick reaches down and knocks it back to the mound. Stripling has it. He's retired 5 in a row. So here is Jean Segura. And it's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. Diamondback leadoff man. Most hits in the National League. He came into the ball game today only 2 behind the Nationals' Daniel Murphy. Washington will be in tomorrow night at Chase Field for the first of 3. That's Steven Strasburg and Archie Bradley. That's a game you want to be there for, so get your tickets at dbacks.com. Segura walked, stole a base, scored a run his first time up. Little tapper out in front of the plate. Grandal waves off Stripling and makes a nice play to throw him out. We are getting the full brunt of that Nationals rotation in that series, BB. Strasburg on Monday, Tanner Roark, who's a very good pitcher, on Tuesday. Max Scherzer, the former Diamondback, on Wednesday.
That'll be fun.
And a day off Thursday at home, and the Brewers come in for 3 over the weekend.
Nationals pitching staff second only to the Chicago Cubs in the National League in team ERA. The Cubs at 3.24, the Nationals at 3.26. That's where the fundamentals of the game really are going to come into play. Get them on, get them over, get them in, because you're probably not going to get a lot of opportunities to just go up there and waylay some fastballs over the middle of the plate. So you really have to take advantage of every base runner you get.
Nationals playing right now in San Francisco. They trail the Giants 1-0 in the 4th inning. Giants lead in the division, only 2 ahead of LA. Two and 2 on Michael Bourn. Michael back in there in center field today. Chris Owings at shortstop.
Boy, CO did a nice job in center field last night. He had to run about a mile to chase down some balls hit in the gap straight over his head to the warning track in center field. Really made some nice running catches.
And 2 good running grabs in left center late in the ball game. Now once again, Michael Bourn, as he so often does, has worked at full 3 and 2. Had a 3-2 count in his first at bat today and popped up to second. Called strike 3. Todd Tishner rings him up. First strikeout for Ross Stripling, who has retired 7 straight. Diamondbacks lead it 1-0. This sunny Sunday, Diamondbacks got a run in the first without the benefit of a base hit, and they lead the Dodgers 1-0. And hey, D-backs fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Arizona and D-backs baseball with you wherever you go. Corey Seager leads off the LA third against Patrick Corbin. Chris Owings at shortstop throws him out. They retire Seager on one pitch. Here's Justin Turner.
He'll take that any day of the week. I talked about it in that last inning when Patrick was out on the mound trying to limit the pitches to the guys at the bottom of the order, so you had him in the bank if you have to work hard for the guys at the top, and Seager obliges by hitting a quick ground ball to shortstop.
Just the second ground ball out in the ball game for Patrick. Turner flied out his first time up. Strike two.
Boy, Turner is almost standing on the inside corner of the plate. He has that open stance as he's waiting for Patrick to deliver the ball, but with that big high leg kick, he closes up the front side. The back foot is right on that inside line of the right-handed batter's box.
Called strike three. Patrick Corbin retires Justin Turner. That's his fourth strikeout.
Number 33, Scott Van Slyke.
This looks a lot like that start in Milwaukee, starting to settle in now after a bumpy first.
Pitch all over the strike zone right there. Not sure what Turner was looking for that time, but apparently didn't get what he wanted.
It was something else, whatever it was.
Something else. Looking for a knuckleball.
Van Slyke walked in his first plate appearance. Diamondbacks will move the second baseman Segura over to the shortstop side of the bag. Ground ball to shortstop, hits it right into that shift for Chris Owings. And Patrick Corbin, another 1, 2, 3 innings, first of the ball game, I should say, but he's retired 6 in a row. He's got a 1-0 lead.
the only run in the game as we head to the top half of the fourth. Hey fans, a D-backs home run today means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
And the D-backs in that first inning, 2 walks, a stolen base, a throwing error by the catcher Grandal, and an RBI groundout by Jake Lamb have given them a 1-0 lead without the benefit of a base hit. And Goldie will lead off the fourth against Ross Stripling. Ball walked his first time up. First pitch swinging. This is going to stay playable. Van Slyke fighting that sun, and he won't get it.
I think it's so funny. After this happens, everybody on the field looks up to see this. Yeah, that's the sun. It's been there forever.
Well, technically, you're not supposed to give a player an error when they lose one in the sun. That's what I've been told. But they hang an E3 on Van Slyke. And I think back to that play in San Francisco where Jake Lamb had one of those in fair territory, bounce off his chest, and it was ruled a base hit. So I guess it depends on the ballpark or the score. Second Dodger error of the ball game. An 0-2 count on Goldie.
Well, either way, make it hurt. New life here for Goldie, an opportunity to do something now. Appeared like he was going to pop out in foul territory for out number 1 in this inning. Still has a chance to make something happen here.
And it's even 2-2. On the ground to second for Taylor. Scott Van Slyke breathes a sigh of relief, and that's the first out in the fourth.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a time in this game where if, for example, Van Slyke's ball right there, he drops a foul ball, credited with an error, but if you retire the batter, they take the error away. If the batter reaches, the error stands. That's my recollection from way back in the day when I used to keep scorecards, and I could be way wrong.
Those are provisional error.
Yeah.
Well, there's still 2 errors on the board. Shift is on now for Jake Lamb. No hit a ground ball his first time up and drove in the game's only run. A fielder's choice RBI for Jake. And he hits it away from the shift and rolls it into left center field. Oh, 1-out single for Jake Lamb. That's the D-backs' first hit today. Comes with 1 out in the fourth.
And you see that split up the middle with the pull shift on the right side. Nobody home where the shortstop was normally positioned. Jake takes advantage of that base hit up the middle.
Yasmani Tomas swung at the first pitch his first time up and grounded out. 2 more hits for Tomas last night, including a double. He's got 3 hits in the series. Swings away again and fouls it back. It's 0-1. Death, taxes, and Yasmani Tomas on the first pitch.
Swinging at that first pitch. And I've never had an issue with a batter being aggressive and swinging at the first pitch as long as it's something you're looking for on that first pitch, but that's not always the case with Yasmani.
Well, it's been part of the process for him, living with the occasional awkward swing there early in counts. He's rolling on this road trip.
Sure is.
He's hit safely in 7 straight games, a 7-game hitting streak that includes 3 doubles, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs. He's hit in 7 straight and 10 of his last 11. Seager on the backhander, and he's got no play. Just couldn't quite corral it. Tomas is aboard.
Seager so extended just to get to that ball. Tried to find the grip as he was turning his body to make a throw to second base, and it popped loose. That'll be an infield hit for Yasmani Tomas.
So nothing for the Diamondbacks in the hit column through 3 1/3, but now back-to-back one-out singles bring up David Peralta. David grounded out to first in his first at bat. Rolls that one the other way for Seager. Taylor for 1, and they can't turn it. Lamb is in at third.
There's too much ground to cover with that little bit of a shift on that time. Taylor had a long way to run just to get to the bag at second and get the force play. David Peralta beats the relay easily at first base.
On the corners with 2 down for Chris Owings. CO flying out his first time up. And they're going to give Jake Lamb home plate here. And Peralta will move up as well. Todd Tishner. And here comes Dave Roberts.
It looked like that ball got underneath the chest protector of Yasmani Grandal. He was fiddling around with the chest protector. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It hit him on the bottom of the face mask, and it may have dropped down underneath the chest protector.
Yeah, Tishner is making a motion like almost Grandal tucked it under that chest protector.
You see Grandal was looking for the baseball and then realized it was underneath. And once again, Tishner not in the greatest position to see exactly what happened that time.
As soon as he sees Grandal reach in there for the baseball, he immediately awards the runner a base, or the 2 runners. Lamb the plate, Peralta second, and Dave Roberts has given up. So it's 2-0 Diamondbacks.
I don't think I've ever seen that one before. I'm not even sure what rule covers that.
You ever lose a ball in your chest protector like that?
No. And what are you supposed to do if you're Yasmani Grandal?
Pretend it's not in there, I guess. That's pulled foul. 1-1 on Chris Owings. We'll get our staff working on that. You never know what you're going to see when you come out to the ballpark.
I'm telling you, this road trip, we've seen some weird things.
It is weird. That one missed, and it's 2 balls and a strike on Chris Owings. A run is in, 2 outs, and David Peralta at second base. The second time of the ball game the Diamondbacks have scored a run really without a base hit. First time was a couple of walks, a stolen base, a throwing error, and a RBI groundout. And the second one on whatever that was. With Stripling at 50 pitches, 31 strikes.
There it is. 5 509G.
Sure. CO dumps that one into left field. They will wave David Peralta. Here comes the throw, and it's cut off. And Owings is out at second base, but the run scores, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks. The RBI for Chris Owings. Will sort this out when we come back from LA. Committee has sorted out what just happened there. What do you have?
Well, we've got Rule 509G, which says a pitched ball lodges in the umpire or catcher's mask or paraphernalia, which would be a chest protector, and remains out of play. The runners advance one base.
Good call there by Todd Tishner. He was on it right away as soon as he saw Grandal reach in there for the baseball. And look at Yasmani. What do you want me to do?
What am I supposed to do here? I guess if you're a catcher and that ever happens to you, you hold your hands up, you call timeout, and then you retrieve the ball from underneath your chest protector.
Yeah, before they notice it's missing. And appropriately, Grandal will lead off the Dodger fourth. It's now 3-0 Diamondbacks. And he fists off that first one into left center, a base hit. So Grandal aboard for the second time today, a walk and a single. And it's a stretch of 6 in a row retired by Patrick Corbin. Here's Puig. Puig, the subject of trade rumors, with deadline coming up 1 o'clock West Coast time tomorrow. Hasn't done a whole lot offensively this year and has battled left hamstring problems. First pitch swing, and it's off the glove of Lamb at third. And the first two Dodgers have reached in the fourth.
Just stayed down the third hop. That ball really hugged the dirt. Jake was already moving towards second base to start a potential double play. Just did not come up with it.
Hold on. I can't hear you, Dodger fans. Make some noise!
Nothing from the score yet as Kike Hernandez steps in. He doubled into the left field corner to lead off the second inning. Activated from the DL before the game today. He'd been out for a while with left rib cage inflammation. There was an update, by the way, on Bud Norris. Back tightness. Back tightness for the Dodger starter, who had to leave the ball game today after only 2 batters. Hernandez has not done much at the plate this year, but he was among the best hitters in baseball last season against left-hand pitching. Crushed lefties last year, a .423 batting average with 4 home runs. And he doubled off Corbin his first time up today. That pitch missed away. 2-1 on Hernandez. In there for a strike, 2-2. Do you hear that guitar?
Yeah.
Somebody's playing a guitar out there.
I think there's a post-game concert, and I saw him setting up a stage out there behind the Death Star in center field before the ball game today, so they must be tuning up.
Well, that Death Star speaker will get cranked up.
Now on that Yasmani Grandal play, according to the at-bat app, they credited Yasmani Grandal with an error. Or credited, discredited.
Well, they have not put up an error. It would be a third error for the Dodgers. That's not on the board, and we still don't have a ruling on the ground ball to Lamb. Whether that's a hit or an error. So somebody's asleep at the wheel here in LA.
Official score is still going through the rule book over there, trying to figure out how to call those.
You may have missed the ground ball to Jake. So nothing yet. 3-2 on Kike Hernandez. That's an error on Grandal. That's the toughest of all errors.
No kidding.
What's he supposed to do? But you were right. Immediately call timeout. Run out to the mound because the plate umpire will be screened from the baseball and just pretend you had it the whole time. Grandal at second. Puig at first. 3-2 on Hernandez. He walked him. Third walk of the ball game for Patrick Corbin, and the Dodgers have the bases loaded with no outs.
Well, they put up an error for the Diamondbacks, so I'm assuming that was Puig's ball down there to Jake Lamb.
Yeah, the Dodgers still with just 3 hits. With a chance to do some damage. It's Chris Taylor, bases full, no outs. He popped up his first time up. Grandal at third, Puig at second, Hernandez at first. Big off balance swing there by Chris Taylor. Taylor 1 for 18 at the plate since he collected 5 hits in that series against the Diamondbacks at Chase Field earlier this month. Right in front of Chris Woodward at third, and Patrick's ahead 0-2. Aces on balls continue to be a problem for Patrick Corbin. He's now walked at least 3 batters, 7 times in his last 10 starts. Bounces that one. Tuffy keeps an eye on it.
know if he deserves a dinner for blocking this ball with the runner at third base. It hit way out in front of home plate, came up high, still gets it right in the middle of the chest protector. What a job.
And he kept it from going behind the chest protector. So double bonus points. Two and two. Pitcher spot is due up next. Ross Stripling has taken a seat. Adrian Gonzalez is the on-deck hitter. Not in the starting lineup today against the lefty Corbin. Patrick at 60 pitches, only 34 for strikes. Missed inside, and it's a full count, 3-2. Diamondbacks have been ahead by at least 3 runs at some point in all 3 games in this series. So far they are 1-1. Bases loaded, nobody out, a full count on Chris Taylor, the second baseman. Here's a tough tapper. Corbin's got it, and he's got no play. Grandal scores, and it's 3-1. Nothing Patrick could do there but eat it.
Yeah, no good play anywhere. I initially thought maybe he could throw to third base, but you see Jake Lamb coming in case he had to field that little tapper. No play on Puig at third, no play anywhere for Patrick Corbin.
Lewis Coleman warming up in the LA bullpen, and Gonzalez will hit for Stripling. Gonzalez has been on base for much of this series. He's got 3 singles and a couple of walks. 284 on the year with 9 homers.
Season numbers for Gonzalez right there. He's 5 for 20 lifetime against Patrick Corbin with a home run, 9 strikeouts in those 20 at bats.
In there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Gonzalez hitting just over 250 against left-hand pitching this year. He's homered twice against lefties. Missed away, and it's 1-1. Here's a tapper that gets by Corbin, owing Segura for 1. And yes, they roll it, a double play. Puig comes in, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
Slowly hit ball. Fortunately, Adrian Gonzalez does not run well at all. That's an understatement. Diamondbacks able to turn the double play as the run scored.
3-2 now. 2 outs. Hernandez at third, and here's the leadoff man, Howie Kendrick, who has struck out twice. Noted Diamondback killer Howie Kendrick. But in this series, 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts. He's also hit into a double play. Fights that one off foul, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, really offensively, Kendrick's main contribution to his team in this series has been the long at bats, fouling off pitches, running up pitch counts.
And it's remarkable because Kendrick, coming into the ball game today, a .345 career hitter in 29 games against the D-backs. 2-1. Three balls and one strike. Seager on deck. Base hit, and the game is tied. RBI single for Kendrick. Well, with Howie Kendrick, it seemed it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, that's his signature hit right there. Pitch on the inside part of the plate, lead with the knob of the bat, let the barrel drag behind and drive it to the opposite field. Didn't hit it hard, but hit it in a good place.
Hernandez scores, and it's 3-3. And Corey Seager steps up, 1 for 2, a single and a ground out. 70 pitches for Corbin, 39 strikes. Bullpen is quiet right now. Patrick really laboring after a 7-pitch third inning. Seager over his last dozen games hitting .375. He's got 8 doubles in those last 12 games. 30 doubles on the year. Out of play. Can't check his swing, and it's 1-2. First 4 Dodgers in this inning reached. Grandal a single. Puig hit a ball to Lamb that was an E5. Hernandez walked. Taylor had an RBI single. Gonzalez a double play. Kendrick single tied it. Now 1-2 on Seager. And Corbin strikes him out to end the inning, but it's a 3-3 ball game through 4 at Dodger Stadium.
half of the 5th inning. Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, the Dodgers on their 3rd pitcher of the ball game. Their starter Bud Norris had to leave 2 batters in with back tightness. Ross Stripling came on and got him through the 4th, and now for the 3rd time in the series, we'll get a look at the right-hander with that crossfire delivery. It's Lewis Coleman.
Coleman only pitched a 1/3 of an inning in the ball game last night, 2/3 of an inning in the opener of this series. Well, when your starter goes down 2 batters into the ball game, it's all hands on deck.
And between innings there, we got clarification from the official score. If you're watching and scoring along with us, the ball that went behind Yasmani Grandal's chest protector is not an E2. That has scored a wild pitch. So Lamb scores in that 4th inning, and Peralta to second on a wild pitch. There is no error. Tuffy grounded out his first time up. That seems appropriate. Can't get any wilder than the ball behind the chest protector.
Yeah, I mean, you can't penalize the catcher. Grandal tried to block the ball. It hit off the bottom of his mask and went straight down his chest protector.
So we've seen a little bit of everything here once again today. Diamondbacks scored a run in the 1st without the benefit of a base hit. 3 errors in the ball game and 1 wild pitch that wound up lodged in the catcher's chest protector. Starter that had to leave the ball game after 2 batters. Who knows what lay ahead? As the Diamondbacks try and take this series in LA. 3-3 we start the 5th. Big cut by Tuffy, and it's a full count, 3-2. Patrick Corbin in the on-deck circle. Lewis Coleman takes that big front foot step almost toward the 3rd base bag and then fires across his body. It's got to be a tough at bat for a right-hander.
I'm not a pitching coach, but I'm really kind of surprised Coleman doesn't pitch from the far 3rd base side of the rubber to really accentuate that crossfire action.
Good at bat by Tuffy, a leadoff walk. Yeah, he's on the 1st base side.
Number 46, Patrick Corbin.
So Coleman walks the first batter he faces. That brings up Patrick Corbin.
Which has to be upsetting for Brandon Drury. In that last half inning, with the pitcher spot due up second here in the top of the 5th, and Patrick struggling a little bit to get through that 4th inning, I saw Brandon Drury go down the tunnel at least twice, taking his bat and his gloves with him to take some swings in the cage and get ready for a possible pinch hit at bat.
Turner coming well in from 3rd. That pitch is a strike.
We watched Brandon Drury last night when he was 5 or 6 hitters away from his spot in the batting order. Already had his helmet and his glove on, bat, ready to go.
He may sleep in his batting helmet. Again, Turner more than halfway in from 3rd, and he'll keep Tuffy close over there.
And with that in mind, Patrick's job is to try to bunt the ball to the right side of the field right here, or at least out in front of home plate, keep it far enough away from Grandal that the only play is at first base.
Swings away, and now it's 0-2.
Well, that's another way to counteract that 3rd baseman charging as hard as Justin Turner is. Pull the bat back and take a swing at it.
Now with 2 strikes, he'll back off. Still a couple of steps in on the grass at 3rd. Corbin strikes out. Gene Segura has walked, stolen a base, scored a run, and grounded out. He's 0 for 1. Segura, after a sensational first 2 months of the year, saw that batting average dip down to 290. That was back the first week of June, but since that point, June the 7th, he's at 343. Here's a tapper that gets by Coleman. Taylor comes in, and Segura is retired at first. Tuffy moves along. And there are 2 outs for Michael Bourn. Michael 0 for 2. Michael, a .212 hitter in 9 games on the road trip. And he takes ball 1. Left-hander Luis Avilan has started warming up in the Dodger bullpen. Bourn up there with 2 outs. Goldie on deck and Lamb in the hole. One and 2. I don't think Michael Bourn has gotten the call on a borderline pitch this year.
With that crossfire action, stepping way over to the third base side and then the ball tailing away. I don't think it was ever in the strike zone.
Yep. Here's another one. Todd Tishner rings up Bourn. Coleman strands the leadoff walk. We are tied up in LA. Ball game in LA set for the home half of the 5th inning. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. We finally get to go home after this one. But then the Nationals will be waiting for us. Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer will pitch in that series, so go get them.
rotation for the Nationals is a handful, but hey, you got to play them what they're on the schedule. And Archie Bradley, Robbie Ray, Zach Godley, hopefully they're up for the challenge.
It's going to be a fun game tomorrow, fans. Chase Field, a 6:40 first pitch. Get your tickets at dbacks.com for Steven Strasburg and Archie Bradley. Justin Turner leads off the 5th against Patrick Corbin. Turner today 0 for 2. And just 1 for 11 in the series. Inside strike call from Todd Tishner. Boy, he missed badly 2 pitches there back to back to Michael Bourn to win the top half of this inning. Neither one was a strike.
Yeah, brutal.
Fly ball to deep center field. Michael Bourn at the track, and he'll play it off the base of the wall. Turner's in at second with his second hit of this series, both doubles. That's number 21 on the year.
It's like a hanging breaking ball that time from Patrick. Yeah, up and out over the plate. He mentioned in his last about how close to that inside corner Turner stands, which allows him to reach those pitches out there on the outer half or even off the plate away. Drove that one off the wall in center.
Scott Van Slyke.
Scott Van Slyke. And Slyke has walked, grounded out. Not the biggest of sample sizes, but Van Slyke hitting .300 against lefties this year. Just over .210 versus right-hand pitching, and nearly 2/3 of his career home runs have come when facing left-handers. He homered off Corbin earlier this year. It's a roller to shortstop for Chris Owings. 1 away.
Hey fans, follow Arizona Diamondbacks baseball live with the MLB.com @BAT app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day live video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com @BAT, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
Well, Patrick Corbin gave up a double to Kike Hernandez to lead off the second inning today, but left him there after a pop-up and a couple of strikeouts. And now he's got the same task ahead of him here in the 5th. 1 away for Yasmani Grandal, who has walked, singled, and scored a run. Ball 1. Tuffy Gozawish wants a word, and while we have a moment, let's show you this. Yasmani Grandal at Dodger Stadium this year. This is where he likes to hit. .272 at home, a .143 on the road, and all but 2 of his homers this year have come in this ballpark.
We talked about it in the first 2 games of this series. Historically, Dodger Stadium has not been a good home run park, but Grandal trying to prove that wrong all by himself.
One and one. Bullpen still quiet for the Diamondbacks. Missed away there, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Patrick just 2 wins in his last dozen starts, and in a tie ball game in the 5th. There's a strike, and it's 2-2. Patrick in his last 6 starts 0-3. The ERA near 7.5. Diamondbacks have won just once in his last 6 appearances. That's tapped to Chris Woodward coaching at third. Swing and a miss, and a big strikeout for Patrick. 2 down. That's his 6th of the ball game.
That used to be Patrick's signature put-away pitch, that hard back foot slider. Sometimes this year it's kind of flattened out and stayed on the same plane for him, but that time got on top of it well. Had a lot of downward movement, got the swing and a miss.
Well, Strand that leadoff double in the 2nd. 1 out away from doing it again in the 5th. They'll face Yasiel Puig. Mentioned that Puig has really struggled this year, just hitting a fastball. Doesn't matter where it is, up, in, down, out. He just has not been able to connect this season. And that has become something of a pet project for the Dodgers' new hitting coach, Turner Ward, the former D-backs hitting coach, who's worked with Puig a lot this year.
And one thing we've noticed from Puig, as you can clearly see as he takes his at bat, hitting out of much more of a crouch this year. He was very upright, stood almost straight up in that right-handed batter's box last season. Hitting out of much more of a crouch now.
And his struggle here is one reason why he may be on his way out, the subject of trade rumors. Deadline is 1 o'clock tomorrow. Sends this out to Yasmani Tomas. Yasmani makes a diving grab and it rolls away. Turner will score and Puig has an RBI double. Trying to make that diving catch and he came up just short.
Just off the very tip of the fingers of that glove. Nice effort by Yasmani Tomas right in front of the warning track in left center. Puig with an RBI double to the gap.
Second double in the inning against Patrick Corbin brings up Kike Hernandez. Hernandez has doubled, walked, scored a run. Here's Mike Butcher.
Puig will occasionally get a little careless with his lead out there at second base. Not sure if that was part of the conversation. Chris Owens was involved with the pitching coach, the catcher, and the pitcher out there on the mound, but he's playing way over in the hole for Kike Hernandez. If there is a pickoff attempt, it's going to have to come from Jean Segura.
And Segura back with his heels on the grass. Can't check his swing, and it's 0-1. Hernandez activated from the DL before the ball game today. Been out for a month with left rib cage inflammation. This is his first game since June 27th. 90 pitches for Patrick, 52 strikes. No one throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Chris Owings at shortstop. Throw pulls Goldie off the bag, and Hernandez is safe. Puig's in at third. E6 on the throw by Owings.
Two in good shape. Everything looks fine up at that point. Little crow hop and then just pulls Goldie to the outfield side of the base.
Last time Chris Taylor was up with the bases full in the fourth, he hit a little squib shot on which Corbin had no play, and it drove in a run. Pitcher spot is up next for the Dodgers, and there's no one in the on-deck circle as of yet. Supposed to be. Jock Peterson making his way out of the LA dugout. Oh, 0-2.
Two more errors in the ball game today for the Diamondbacks defensively gives them 64 on the season. Just way too many unforced errors.
Diamondbacks, in terms of the defensive metrics, were the best defensive team in all of baseball last year, and it wasn't close. They were well ahead of Kansas City. That's not been the case this year. 1-2 on Chris Taylor.
There are occasions when a guy, because of his superior range, will get to a ball and try to make a play that maybe he shouldn't and throw it away. And you know, those errors are going to happen from time to time, but I'm talking about routine ground balls hit right at guys.
Yep. Two and two.
Of course, that runs up the pitch count on the guy on the mound, and then subconsciously pitchers, now they're not quite so sure they want to pitch to contact if the defense is not making the plays behind them. So they start to nibble a little bit, and then the walk totals go up. It just a bad spiral in the wrong direction.
Well, that tied up Taylor, but he got a piece of it to stay alive. And of course, you always have to consider the health of Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Any throw that pulls him off the bag and he has to try and make that sweeping swipe tag with the glove hand, he risks injury against a runner coming at him full speed. Ground ball to second for Segura. And Patrick Corbin is out of the inning, but the Dodgers take a 4-3 lead.
due up for the Diamondbacks. They trail the Dodgers by 1 here in the top half of the 6th. When the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
6th inning in LA. Diamondbacks trail at 4-3. Goldie has walked and grounded out 0 for 1. He'll lead it off. Dodger lefty Luis Avilan has been ready for a while in the LA bullpen. You've got Jake Lamb on deck, as Dave Roberts has been forced to ham and egg it with his pitching staff today after his starter Bud Norris had to leave the ball game with back tightness, only 2 batters in. Lewis Coleman out there today for the 3rd straight day. He did not go, says Ryan Blakeney down there, and it's a ball and a strike on Goldie. One and 2. A .343 career hitter in this ballpark, Paul Goldschmidt. 14 home runs. It's a thinner crowd here today. They packed him in the first 2 games of this series. They had 50,966 Friday night, 49,540 last night.
And much like when we were at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, you see the people in the upper deck have all moved up to get into the shade.
Just inside, and it's 2-2. Yeah, there they are. A hot Sunday in LA. There is a breeze blowing out to center field. Just did stay alive. Full count, Jake Lamb on deck.
Another good emergency swing. Goldie has had to work on that quite a bit on this road trip. That breaking ball just off the plate in a 2-strike count. Second time today we've seen him reach out there and spoil a pitch.
3 years ago he would swing and miss down there, but now when it's a ball he spits on it. When it's real close he's able to just get a piece of it and keep going. But Coleman strikes him out. 3rd strikeout for Lewis Coleman, 1 down in the 6th. And here comes Dave Roberts, and it looks like we'll have a double switch as he talks to Todd Tishner. Avilan has been ready for a while down there. Looks like Chase Utley will come into the ball game and replace Chris Taylor at second base. We'll take a break in LA. Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 4-3. Diamondbacks trail it. A pitching change here in the 6th inning. Hey fans, join the Diamondbacks for the Healthcare Appreciation Games on August 25th and 28th in a limited edition D-backs scrub top and game ticket. This special ticket package is available only at dbacks.com/healthcare. New pitcher for LA, the left-hander Luis Avilan. The 4th Dodger pitcher of the ball game after they lost their starter Bud Norris in the 1st to back tightness. They face Jake Lamb with 1 out. The right-hander Yasmani Tomas is on deck, but then the left-hander Peralta is behind Tomas, so we'll see what Dave Roberts wants to do here. Bullpen quiet right now for the Dodgers, and they have the shift on for Lamb. Jake has an RBI fielder's choice. He has singled and scored a run today.
I think under normal circumstances, Dave Roberts would probably have a righty up for Yasmani Tomas, but because of the circumstances today with the starter going out early, he's going to have to let Avilan roll through a couple of Diamondbacks hitters.
And this bullpen has already worked a lot in this series. Chris Taylor has come out of the ball game. Chase Utley takes over at second base. He'll bat 9th, pitcher spot now 8th in the LA lineup. And that's a base on balls to Jake Lamb. 1 out base runner for Yasmani Tomas. Diamondback bullpen will get busy. Dominic Leone, the right-hander, and the rookie lefty Steve Hathaway just called up from the minor leagues this weekend. He's on the right. On a Franklin Pierce in New Hampshire.
Is that a baseball hotbed?
It is now.
It is now.
It's rarely hot anything in New Hampshire. Home of the White Mountains in New England. Tomas has grounded out, singled, 1 for 2. The college hockey programs up there at UNH.
Of course, fans listening to our telecast today will tell you that the only White Mountains are the ones in northeastern Arizona.
Those are nice.
They're awesome. Used to go to the White Mountains every year after baseball season was over with Matt Williams and Kurt Manwaring, a couple other guys that we knew in the Phoenix area. We'd go up there and camp out for 4 or 5 days and do some fishing at Big Lake. Till one year we went and pitched the tents and got the campfire set up. Everything's ready to go. All right, let's get a good night's sleep. We'll get up and get after it early in the morning, and we woke up to 4 inches of snow on the ground.
White Mountains were pretty white.
They were.
So you just pack it in at that point?
Oh, no. You kidding me? That made it even more of a challenge.
Throwing snowballs at each other. Dodgers have a right-hander warming up in their bullpen. It's Joe Blanton. Hathaway and Leone throwing for the Diamondbacks. The 0-2 to Tomas. There's Joe Blanton. Worked in the ball game here Friday as part of that zany 7th. Well, the way he's been going, Yasmani Tomas due for the big hit right here. He has started every game on this road trip, and on the trip coming into today, he was hitting .389 with 5 doubles, 4 home runs, and 10 runs batted in.
Of course, he would need Avilan to throw something close to the strike zone in order for that to happen, and Luis Avilan just doesn't look like he's real willing to give in to anybody.
2-2. Pops him up behind third. Seager and Turner. And Turner has it for out number 2.
Right fielder David
Now Avila
Peralta.
to work to the left hand, hitting David Peralta. David making his return from the DL in this series. Boy, he has really been missed from the everyday lineup. He's been able to play in only 10 games since May 8th. He has missed a ton of time. He was out 1 month with that right wrist inflammation. Then another 6 weeks with a lower back strain.
Yeah, his absence has really caused Chip Hale to get creative with the outfield defense throughout David's absence. I mentioned it the other day. The outfield we had in Colorado with a catcher in center field and an infielder in left. Guys playing out of position all over the place.
Started a game in Coors Field with a shortstop, a third baseman, and a catcher in the outfield.
There you go.
That's behind the screen, and it's 0-2.
I mean, you love the idea that guys are versatile enough to do that, but you hope to only have to do it in an emergency. Chip had to do it on a daily basis.
Well, we've talked a number of times over the course of the year, Bob, how Chris Owings has really shown us some speed. He's done a very good job out there in center when he's been there. Made 2 terrific running grabs in left center field last night. And with Owings and Michael Bourne, center field has not been an issue, despite the fact that at one point this year they had 5 center fielders on the DL. If you count Chris Herman. Or the Herminator, as Chip likes to call him.
And his bat has been missed too. You know, we talked about getting David back to balance the lineup a little bit more. Another left-handed bat to go along with Michael Bourne and Jake Lamb. I think Chris Herman was a guy that you could drop in there against a tough right-hander, give you some good at bats.
2-2 on Peralta. Owings on deck. Blanton warming up in the Dodger pen.
Jake Lamb looking fast over there again.
He gets a lot of throws over there for a guy that doesn't run all that quickly. Does have 4 stolen bases this year in 5 attempts. On the ground to Utley at second. And Avalon gets the job done. Strands the 1-out walk. Bottom 6 from Dodger Stadium. Diamondbacks trailing 4-3.
Chase Utley here back out there. He came into the dugout, guys, frustrated after hard hit balls last inning by Turner and Puig, giving the Dodgers the lead. But the error by Chris Owings, guys, Chip Hill had a message for the team as they came in from the dugout. He said, we have to tighten this game up right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty loose so far on both sides, I would say, Jody. Seen a little bit of everything here. Chase Utley will lead off the 6th against Patrick Corbin. Shift is on and he hits right into it. A bouncer to Segura and he throws him out. Patrick has really had to work hard. He's thrown 52 pitches in the last 2 innings. So that 1 pitch, 1 out, just what he needed. And it brings up Howie Kendrick.
47, Howie Kendrick.
Patrick's spot is due up 3rd in the top half of the 7th inning. We'll see how Chip wants to play it, see what happens the rest of this inning. Got to score and you're running out of outs.
Kendrick has struck out twice. He's got an RBI single. Tied him up inside and it's 0-1. Dominic Leone and the rookie lefty Steve Hathaway still throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Joe Blanton continues to work for the Dodgers in their pen. And it's 2-2 on Kendrick. There's Steve Hathaway, the rookie, just called up this weekend on the right.
Yeah, both guys are ready to go. They were up in the last inning and close enough now where they don't want to waste any bullets down in the bullpen. Ooh, man.
A 1-out base runner for Corey Seager.
This ball up and into Kendrick. Looked like he took it off that
Shortstop, number 5,
left upper
Corey
arm
Seager.
area. So this is that inning you'd really like Patrick to get the 3 outs, so you don't have to make some kind of a double switch or bring in a pitcher just to get you out of the inning and then pinch hit for him in the top half.
Already 103 pitches, 60 strikes. Seager has a single. He's 1 for 3. 5 hits in the series. Dodgers scoreboard here as Adam Lowen warming up in the Diamondback bullpen, but it's Dominic Leone. You've got a Leone and a Lowen back there. There's Dominic Leone on the left, Steve Hathaway on the right. So Adam Lowen make his D-backs debut last night. And Corey Seager up there with a 1-2 count.
Well, Seager did get a base hit in his first at bat of this ball game, but he has really struggled against that Patrick Corbin slider today. He's taken some funny looking swings and check swings at that pitch.
Seager just about a .240 hitter this year against left-hand pitching. Base hit. He shoots it the other way. 2 on and 1 out for Justin Turner.
Third baseman number 10, Justin Turner.
Got a fastball away and just drove it to the opposite field that time.
That's going to be it for Patrick Corbin. Here comes Chip Hale. He wants Dominic Leone. So Patrick today goes 5 1/3, and he'll leave the ball game responsible for 2 base runners, trailing 4-3. We'll take a break from Dodger Stadium. Back in a moment. Stadium, Diamondbacks trail LA 4-3. Your Arizona Federal Credit Union pitching change. It's Dominic Leone. A 6.5 ERA, 10 appearances with the Diamondbacks this year. Dominic has given up runs in each of his last 2 appearances, including Friday's series opener here in LA.
The home run ball has really hurt Dominic this season. He surrendered 3 of them in 9 2/3 innings pitched. Also the base on balls.
Well, Leone in that ball game Friday faced Justin Turner, got him to fly out to left to end the bottom of the 8th inning. And he'll face Turner here again with 2 on and 1 out. Howie Kendrick, the runner at second, and Corey Seager at first. Strike 1. Turner doubled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 3. He's all right, says Ryan Blakeney. 1 and 1. Really hard to remember Justin Turner as a utility guy with the Mets. That's what he was when they got him here in LA. But he has become one of baseball's best hitting third basemen as a Dodger. He's really changed who he is as a hitter. A lot fewer ground balls this year, a lot more balls up in the air. Leone has fallen behind on Turner. 3 balls and 1 strike. You've got Scott Van Slyke on deck.
It's hard to remember who was it. Juan Uribe was the third baseman that Justin Turner kind of replaced.
Uribe had some injury issues and then wound up somewhere else. Turner was a guy who played second. He played a little short, some third, some outfield. Three and two.
Hey, talk about a guy taking full advantage of the opportunity. Sometimes an injury to a teammate presents you with a chance to do something and earn a bigger role with the ball club, and Justin Turner really took that opportunity and ran with it.
He's a native Californian. He's from Lakewood, played at Cal State Fullerton. Full count, 3 and 2. Steve Hathaway still throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Three-two is swung on and it got through Owings. Kendrick had to duck to avoid the baseball. He'll come in and score, and it's 5-3. CO might have been screened a bit there by the base runner Kendrick.
Very hard hit ball, a few steps to his left, and you're right about Kendrick ducking underneath that line drive. It's off the CO's glove on out into center field.
8th hit for the Dodgers. They lead at 5-3. Here's Scott Van Slyke. Van Slyke has walked and twice grounded out.
Dangerous situation here. You're looking for that ground ball, so you want to keep the ball down, but Scott Van Slyke is a really good low ball hitter.
0-2.
Swung right through 294-mile-an-hour fastballs.
And Dominic Leone has that velocity. Just hasn't been able to be effective at this level as a Diamondback after an outstanding rookie season with Seattle. In the seats.
Tried to go up there one more time, a little higher this time. Van Slyke just able to get a piece of it to stay alive.
Dominic Leone acquired from Seattle in the Mark Trumbo deal. He went, and Leone gets the strikeout.
Chase that 2-strike slider, starts it on the outer third. Looks like it's going to be close to the zone. Look at that thing just bottom out. Van Slyke can't hold up.
Well, Steve Hathaway, the lefty, no longer throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. So Grandal will hit from his power side. That's the left-hand side against the righty Leone. Grandal has walked, singled, scored a run, 1 for 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Dodger catcher.
Fairly common defensive alignment here for a guy that pulls the ball on the ground. So the Diamondbacks defensively in the infield playing that exaggerated pull shift with Gene Segura out in shallow right and Michael Bourn in center field shading over to the gap in left center.
In the air, deep center field. It backs up Michael Bourn. He's at the wall. He leaps and he won't get it. It's gone. Yasmani Grandal. That's his 15th. A 3-run homer. And it's 8-3 Dodgers.
Breaking ball outer third of the plate. Grandal thought he had it. Solid contact, kind of posed for a moment. Michael Bourn gives it a good effort trying to climb the barrier out there, but no chance on that one. Another home run against Dominic Leone.
It's turned into a 4-run LA 6th, and here's Puig. Oh, and 2. Well, the D-backs have been running relievers back and forth from the minor leagues. Evan Marshall was called up today following the trade of Tyler Clippard to the Yankees. We saw Steve Hathaway and Adam Lowen called up over the weekend in this series, so that revolving door is likely to continue as they try and find at least parts of their 2017 bullpen here over the final 2 months of this season.
We've called it an audition out of that bullpen pretty much the entire second half of the season. Guys are going to have opportunities to show what they can do. Guys that do a good job are going to get more opportunities and more leverage situations, and guys that struggle may find themselves back at Reno while somebody else comes up here to audition.
Base hit for Puig. Well, Leone has faced 4 batters. He's given up 2 singles and a home run. And here's Kike Hernandez.
Center fielder, number 14, Kike Hernandez.
Second hit for Puig. Hernandez today has doubled, walked, and scored a run. Steve Hathaway, the rookie lefty, has started throwing again in the Diamondback bullpen. Well, Chip Hale told us he wanted to make sure that Hathaway, when he first came in the first few times, it was not a high stress, high leverage situation. Well, that has certainly eased the pressure a little bit on whoever comes in. It's now an 8-3 ball game. Fouled back to the screen, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, a long time ago when Patrick Corbin was still in the ball game when this inning started, I mentioned the fact the pitcher spot is due up third in the top half of the 7th, so I'm sure that's why Chip is trying to drag his feet on bringing Hathaway in here.
With Leone over 20 pitches in the inning, he's recorded only 1 out. One and 2. Giants are leading at AT&T Park. They're ahead of Washington 3-1. They're in the 8th inning. Nationals in at Chase Field tomorrow. Steven Strasburg versus Archie Bradley. And the inning finally comes to an end as Leon gets his second strikeout, but the Dodgers get 4 runs. They lead at 8-3. The Gig Life high-speed highlights presented by Cox. I'm not sure the Diamondbacks, Bob, have ever scored 3 runs in a more bizarre fashion than the ones they scored today.
Yeah, fielder's choice ground ball where the Dodgers kicked it around at second base before finally getting a force out. A wild pitch that got stuck in Yasmani Grandal's chest protector scores a run. Oh, man.
Todd Tishman, the plate umpire, was right on that one, much to Dave Roberts' dismay, but that was the correct call. Every base runner gets a base, and so the runner came home from third. Diamondbacks with 3 runs on only 3 hits, and they trail it 8-3 as we start the 7th. New pitcher for LA is the veteran righty Joe Blanton, and it worked to Chris Owings to start things off.
We need to get some runners on base and work on that wild pitch getting stuck in the catcher's equipment.
Twice in one game. What are the odds? Each team has committed 2 errors today. Blanton pitched in that crazy 7th inning Friday night, and he really struggled. Tomas singled, Owings singled against him for an RBI. He walked Ricky Weeks and then struck out Segura, and he was done. Foul ground near the Diamondback dugout. That's drifting into the seats and off the roof of the dugout, out of play.
Quite a bit of foul territory here at Dodger Stadium, especially directly behind home plate and down the first and third baseline till you get to the bag. There used to be even more. They've added a lot of seats. That used to be foul territory here at Dodger Stadium. This place was almost like Oakland Coliseum or whatever they call it now as far as foul territory goes.
42,380 here today. 1-2 on Chris Owings. CO had an RBI single his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Rockies lost at Citi Field in New York. Mets beat them today 6-4. Padres hosting the Reds at Petco Park. Cincinnati leads 3-2 in the 7th. Giants still ahead of the Nationals 3-1 in San Francisco. No, he didn't, Ryan Blakeney. 2-2 on Chris Owings.
Mariners and Cubs playing the night game tonight. Felix Hernandez against Kyle Hendricks in that ball game.
Hendricks has had a really good year for the Cubs.
Big topic of conversation in Chicago recently. Of course, they're already making playoff plans, but who will be your third starter behind Jake Arrieta and John Lester?
For me, that's the one thing you don't trust about the Cubs in a postseason series. That rotation has not exactly been great.
Yeah.
And Hendricks has been much better than some of the other guys they have.
Yeah, the question is, Hendricks or Lackey as your third starter. And if John Lackey is not the third starter in the postseason, let's see what happens to Good Chip Lollipop then.
That's not a conversation I would want to have. Even if I don't even think Joe Madden could talk Lackey off the ledge in that chat.
Yeah, but you're right about Kyle Hendricks. I mean, man, nobody is Greg Maddux, but he's Maddux-like with the way he goes about working his way through an opposing lineup.
Owing strikes out to lead off the seventh.
Pitcher number 8, Tuffy.
Here's Tuffy, who was grounded out and walked. Interesting in that division that the Pirates, based on the way they have to operate with their financial considerations, had to, in the middle of a pennant race, trade their closer, Mark Melancon, because they always have to think ahead. So they feel pretty good with what they've got back there. Tony Watson and some other guys, but they're still in the market for a reliever to kind of supplement their setup core. Melancon now a Washington National. So we may get a look at him this week. And it was funny, there was a story in one of the papers about Pirates GM Neil Huntington trying to apologize to Mark Melancon, and he felt terrible. Nobody wants to leave the Pirates right now. They're playing well and in the thick of the postseason race, but Melancon said, "Don't worry, I understand." That's the reality in Pittsburgh and other places too.
Going from a team that's 9.5 games behind the Cubs in that Central Division to the Nationals that are sitting atop the Eastern Division, I wouldn't feel too sorry for Mark Melancon.
Exactly. Well, the trade deadline is 1 o'clock tomorrow. We have some breaking news here, BB. According to John Heyman, the Orioles have just picked up Wade Miley.
Really?
From the Seattle Mariners. No word yet about what the Mariners get in return. The Orioles have been looking for another starter, and apparently they've acquired Wade Miley from Baltimore. Puig reins that one in, 2 outs. So Wade Miley on his way from Seattle to the Orioles. We'll be in Baltimore later this year.
Yeah. Wade Miley just pitched a gem against the Cubs and Jake Arrieta the other day. 6 innings, a no-hit ball. Ended up going 7, giving up 1 hit in the ball game.
Phil Gonsolin will hit in the pitcher's spot. Phil 270 with 1 home run. He doubles as a pinch hitter last night. Phil with 8 hits on the road trip, including 4 doubles. Oh, come on, Joe Blanton. That high leg kick and hip swivel didn't prevent Blanton from snaring that one. Glove save and a beauty. We stretch in LA. It's 8-3 Dodgers. Game summary was a close ball game, but the Dodgers wound up with 1 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th. They lead at 8-3. And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, it's the rookie lefty, the major league debut for 25-year-old Steve Hathaway, who's been an effective minor league pitcher in the Diamondbacks system, mostly a ground ball type guy, but he's been a guy who's been able to get people out and has moved his way up the system nicely.
Yeah, you see his numbers combined between Mobile and Reno this season. 37 ball games, a 2.48 ERA, 40 innings pitched, struck out 35, walked 16. Opponents batting .223 against Hathaway.
Pitcher spot leads it off for LA. Andrew Toles will hit for Joe Blanton. And the first pitch Steve Hathaway throws in the big leagues is a strike, 0-1. Hathaway was not in big league camp with the Diamondbacks this spring, but part of what will be the process for the final 2 months of the season, as Chip Hale said, they're going to look for that 2017 bullpen to emerge. And they're going to find this bullpen, or at least part of it, by the end of the year, find out who are the guys who can help them moving forward. And Steve Hathaway, at least in the minor leagues, has looked like he could be one of those guys.
Missed well wide of the strike zone that time at 94. Big over the top breaking ball at 75.
He is from West Acton, Massachusetts, pitched collegiately at Franklin Pierce University in New Hampshire. Toles shoots one to right center, and it drops in for a base hit.
It's good to see Andrew Toles back on the field today after what happened to him last night. He went face first into the wall out there in right field. Left side of his face was swelled up considerably. He was bleeding from the mouth, but up today, gets himself a pinch hit at bat, will be taken down for a pinch runner.
And it'll be the pitcher, Kenta Maeda. Yeah, he hit face first right there on that wall on the dead run and took a couple of stitches in his lip after the ball game. And Maeda, the pitcher, this is last night. Watch this. Bang.
Oh, my.
Maeda, who was the starter for LA in the series opener Friday, will run for Toles. Chase Utley. Utley checked into the ball game midway through on a double switch and grounded out his first time up. Steve Hathaway, a 14th round pick by the Diamondbacks out of Franklin Pierce in the draft 3 years ago. He's been a guy who has overcome some elbow and some shoulder injuries coming out of college, and has pitched well in the minor leagues in the last 2 years. Hathaway was only able to pitch in 8 games a couple of seasons ago at South Bend. Then last year, he was very busy at both Kane County and Visalia. 45 appearances between the two levels, a 2.89 ERA. Last season, 48 strikeouts in just under 44 innings. And now this year he's made it from Mobile through Reno and now here to the big leagues, and he finds himself on the mound at Dodger Stadium. It's a long way from Franklin Pierce in New Hampshire.
Yes, indeed it is. And we talked about it last night with Braden Shipley. This can be a very intimidating place for a rookie pitcher. You stand out there on the mound and look up at all the decks here at Dodger Stadium. Not nearly a big crowd today as we saw in the first 2 games of this series, but still can be a little bit intimidating pitching to the baseball cards in this venue.
Utley fights that one off and dunks it into left center field. Maeda will head for third, and he'll stop there, and Utley has a double.
Elevated fastball. Utley didn't get all of it. Sounded like it hit down near the trademark, but put it in a good spot. Splits the gap between Tomas and Michael Bourne out there in center field. Maeda scampering around to third base.
Well, Tuffy, who has caught plenty of Steve Hathaway in the minor leagues, is out there to have a conversation. Now Mike Butcher's going to join in as well, as Daniel Hudson get ready in the Diamondback bullpen. Always interesting when you see a Major League player from New England. Of course, it's always tough on those Northeast guys. Nick Ahmed knows a lot about this. When your first probably 4 or 6 weeks of baseball practice is inside the basketball gym, there's snow on the ground and it's 30 degrees outside. He's from Acton Boxborough High School in Massachusetts. That's a high school hockey powerhouse. None of the stadiums look like this in Franklin Pierce. Howie Kendrick. Talk about pitching some bubblegum cards. He's got Utley and then Kendrick back to back. Infield comes in for the Diamondbacks, and Hathaway's behind 2-0.
Told the story in the past about playing here at Dodger Stadium for the first time as a rookie with the Giants, and yeah, of course I've talked about it before. We were raised to hate the Giants, or hate the Dodgers rather, in the Giants organization. You played against an affiliate everywhere we were, and Steve Garvey was always the point man for that. He, that's typical Dodger.
The All-American boy.
Well, he came up to the plate for his first at bat, and here he comes. All right, here he is, and he tapped me on the shin guard with his bat and said, "Good luck up here, kid. Hope you have a great career." Oh, come on.
You make it so hard to dislike you.
I still dislike you, but thanks.
Well, Steve Hathaway has his first major league strikeout. He gets Howie Kendrick.
Same thing any rookie goes through your first go round at the major league level. You're looking at these guys going, man, I was watching these guys on TV last week and now I'm facing them. But eventually you get over that. You realize, just like in Hoosiers, the mound is 60 feet 6 inches here, just like it is in Reno, just like it is in Mobile. You have to make your pitches regardless of who that hitter is standing in the batter's box.
Well, Hathaway was watching Utley play when he was 11 and 12 years old. Corey Seager now 2 for 4, couple of singles. He scored a run. Todd Tishner making the call behind the plate, and it's 1-2 on Seager.
Now Seager, in an attempt to check his swing and get out of the way of that fastball up and in. Tishner saying he heard some contact with the bat there, called it a foul tip strike.
Shows you how often umpires, and I've had umpires tell me this numerous times, how often they listen as well as they look.
Yeah.
Foot on the bag, ball in the glove, the sound of the bat on the ball. Yes, he checks, says Bill Miller, and it's 2-2. Full count, 3-2. Justin Turner on deck. Maeda at third and Utley at second, 1 away.
Wow. Get off me, ball. Really had to fight that one off.
That thing came to eat.
You start your swing and then realize this is just self-defense. That ball's going to hit me if I don't make contact with it.
It might have. Well, you can see Hathaway doesn't blow you away with velocity, but he's got some zip out there. He's a guy who at Reno had 25 strikeouts in 24 2/3 innings. Another 3-2 to Corey Seager. And that one is going to go. Corey Seager, that's number 18. And the Dodgers have opened up an 11-3 lead. A 3-for-5 day for Corey Seager.
Big loopy breaking ball, stayed up in the zone that time. Throw that same pitch and scoot it over about 6 inches. You probably get a swing and a miss, but when you hang it belt high like that over the plate, good hitters are going to hit it hard.
Well, the major league debut of Steve Hathaway didn't quite go as he'd always dreamed, but he's in the books at Dodger Stadium. We'll take a break from LA. Game led the Dodgers 3-0, but LA has scored 3 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th, now 3 more in the 7th. And the new pitcher is Daniel Hudson, a 6.81 ERA, his 44th appearance of the year.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about all 3 games in this series. The Diamondbacks had a 3-run lead at some point in all 3 of these games.
Oh, Huddy did not retire a batter his last time out. That was Friday's ball game here. He faced 3 batters, gave up a walk and 2 hits, including a home run. And he's still trying to get out of this rut. Justin Turner will be the hitter. Still only 1 out. Turner has doubled, singled. He's got an RBI. He's scored twice. Daniel Hudson is trying his hardest, he says, to figure this out. For whatever reason, just can't seem to get out of the rut.
There have been some games Daniel's been hit hard. There's been some games he couldn't command the ball in the strike zone. There's been a lot of games where he's given up some broken bat hits and some seeing eye grounders that have gotten through the infield, but for whatever reason, really struggling to turn it around.
It always seems to start, though, with that little squib shot, dink and dunk type hit. He came on to start the 7th inning Friday night. Tolles hit a ball that just got under the glove of Segura midway between first and second for an infield single. Then Peterson homered. He walked Van Slyke, and that was it.
And Milwaukee, Scooter
Gennett,
Gennett drove that ball out there 32 miles an hour. A little blooper up the middle that dropped.
And Huddy got that pitch right in on his hands, right where he wanted it, and Gennett just fought it off. And he just had this look on his face like, seriously?
Are you kidding me?
When is this going to end? But fortunately for the Diamondbacks, if you think long term, if this hadn't been happening to Daniel Hudson, he'd be somewhere else right now. 98 miles an hour, and he blows Turner away. 1 down. Pardon me, 2 down.
This is what's really puzzling about the whole thing. Daniel Hudson's stuff has been electric lately. I mean, his fastball 97, 98 consistently. The slider that had deserted him after that outing in Colorado has come back. Made some mistakes with it, but at least it's breaking again. Thrown some good straight change-ups recently, but just can't get the results he's looking for.
Scott Van Slyke down. He walked in the first, 0 for 3. And it hasn't been every time out. He had 1 appearance in Cincinnati that was very encouraging. Three infielders on the left side for Van Slyke. That got Tuffy back there, and it's 1-2. Doesn't get the call from Todd Tishner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Oh, just dotted it. Well, how many times have we seen that call to strike?
Yep.
It's like Daniel Hudson's on one of those cross-country flights, and he's got the screaming baby in the row behind him. Like, when is this plane going to land?
Guy in front of him slapped his seat back right
Oh,
away.
Yeah. Nothing. They're out of drinks. I mean, everything. We'll be experiencing some turbulence for the next 4.5 hours, so the captain is advised that you keep your seatbelts on. Got Van Slyke moving around up there. Full count, 3-2. Grandal on deck. Well, Daniel Hudson comes in and gets 2 strikeouts. He got Turner and Van Slyke, but the Dodgers get 3 more. They lead it 11-3. Diamondbacks trail at 11-3. You can see that run of offense the Dodgers have had. 4 in the third, 1 in the fifth, 3 in the fourth. Start again. 3 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, 4 in the sixth, now 3 in the seventh, and Pedro Baez is on to work the eighth. We have seen Baez in all 3 games in this series now. Gene Segura will lead it off for the Diamondbacks, who have only 3 hits in the ball game through 7 innings. All 3 hits coming in the fourth. It's gone final in San Francisco. The Giants beat the Nationals 3-1, so they get a 4-game split at AT&T Park. Nationals come to Chase Field for 3 starting tomorrow night. Steven Strasburg versus Archie Bradley. So the Giants now have a 2.5 game lead on LA. Washington is dropped to only 5-8 in its last 13 games. They're only 4 games ahead of the Miami Marlins. And Brandon Drury will get it started here. Drury hits for Segura. 262 and 9 homers. Brandon an RBI single last night. That's his only hit in this series. Third time in his career, Pedro Baez has appeared in a game in 3 consecutive days. Brandon laces that one foul. How about that catch down there? That's the play of the series. Had it all the way.
Nicely done, young lady. She reaches over the railing down there. I mean, this ball is scalded. Well done.
They show the replay on the board here. She's getting a standing O. 42,000 on their feet. Brandon's going to need a new bat.
Brandon probably spent an hour this morning getting the pine tar and the rosin just right on that bat.
How about those shoes too? He's got a whole look going there with those uniquely colored cleats. He's got the high socks.
Well, from our vantage point here, we can see right down into the first base dugout. And I've been watching Brandon all day. I talked about it earlier in the ball game as the pitcher spot was approaching. He gets his bat, he gets his helmet, he puts his gloves on. He wants to send a message to Dave Magadan and his skipper Chip Hale that I'm ready to hit if you want me. Then the pitcher spot will come and go, and he'll take his helmet off and take his gloves off and put his bat back. Every time that 9 spot rolls around, he's ready to hit.
He looks at strike 3 from Pedro Baez. Going to bring up Michael Bourne, who's 0 for 3. Evan Marshall, who was called up today from the minor leagues, is warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Evan called up after Tyler Clippard was traded to the Yankees this morning. That's where he started out his career, as the Yankee Clippard. In the air to center field for Kike Hernandez. 2 down.
Always kind of an awkward time when a player gets traded. We saw Tyler Clippard in the hotel lobby this morning, had on his jeans and t-shirt, ball cap on backwards and some sneakers, getting ready to make the flight to join the Yankees, saying goodbye to his teammates.
Yankees traded Andrew Miller to the Cleveland Indians, so they need somebody to represent in that bullpen back there. Diamondbacks were able to move about $5.5 million in the trade of Clippard, who will be a Yankee next year. One more year left on his contract. So much for that 3-headed monster bullpen in New York. We saw those guys earlier. Betances is the only one left. Goldie 0 for 2 today. D-backs led it 3-0. It's now 11-3. 3 hits, all singles, all coming in the 4th inning. That has been the offense. 98 from Baez, and it's 1-2. Full count to Goldie, 3-2. Jake Lamb on deck.
Rough crowd here. That was a rocket line drive up into the club level here at Dodger Stadium, and the people in one of the boxes didn't make the play and they got booed.
Well, it's hard to follow up the ball girl down the left field line. She had the defensive play of the series. There's a high bouncer to second base. Utley comes in, underhand throw to Van Slyke, and they retire Goldschmidt. Baez works a 1-2-3 8th inning. Diamondbacks trail 11-3. Angeles Diamondbacks trail at 11-3. And Evan Marshall is back in the big leagues following today's trade of Tyler Clippard of the Yankees. Evan optioned to Reno on May 27th. 12 appearances with the Diamondbacks this year. A 6.92 ERA, giving up 10 earned runs on 21 hits in 13 innings.
Oh, and Evan Marshall, another relief pitcher that's part of the auditions here in the next couple of months of this season. To get back to where he was when he first came up to the major leagues. He was really impressive as Brandon Drury takes over for Gene Segura at second base.
And the shift is on for Yasmani Grandal. He lifts one away from it, and it drops in between Tomas and Bourne and rolls to the wall. And Grandal has a double. Grandal, a triple shy of the cycle, brings up Puig, who has 2 hits today. This is Evan Marshall's first big league outing since May 26th. He struggled over the second half of May, gave up 9 runs, 14 hits in 3 1/3 innings, and was optioned to Reno. He's had an ERA at Reno this year, just under 4. That's a fair ball. Cue shot down the right field line. They will wave Grandal. He will score, and it's 12-3.
Almost looked like an accidental swing that time by Puig. Ball down and in, and he kind of chops at it. Puts it right down the first baseline.
Kike Hernandez. Dodgers now with 16 hits. A pair of 3-run homers today. Grandal in the 6th inning off Dominic Leone, and Seager in the 7th off Steve Hathaway. Dodgers have now scored a run, at least one, in 5 consecutive innings.
Patrick Corbin gave up a hit in the first, a hit in the second, a 1-2-3 third inning, but since then it's been 3 hits, 2 hits, 4 hits, 3 hits, and so far 2 in this inning.
Full count on Hernandez, 3-2. Pitcher spot up next. Jock Peterson will hit for Pedro Baez. Looks like J.P. Howell warming up in the L.A. bullpen. And Evan Marshall gets the strikeout. 1 down. Yasiel Puig, his first 3-hit game at Dodger Stadium since the middle of May. Puig with a single and 2 doubles. He's knocked in 2 runs. Peterson will hit for the pitcher. 239 and 15 homers. He has homered twice in the series. Each of the first 2 games in this series lasted exactly 3 hours and 24 minutes. We have gone past that mark just a few minutes ago. Giants will get to Phoenix before we do. 0-2. Well, Evan Marshall and Dominic Leone on similar career paths here. Just like Dominic Leone in Seattle, Evan Marshall was sensational as a rookie with the Diamondbacks. 2014, 57 appearances, a 2.74 ERA. Top 5 among National League rookie relievers in holds, appearances, and strikeouts. Was outstanding down the stretch in 2014. He just has not been able to repeat that level since. 20 scoreless appearances in his last 24 outings 2 years ago. He's really been working on that beard while he's been in Reno.
I remember when Evan Marshall first came up, talking to him after his first couple of appearances, and he said, "I've thrown more changeups in 2 outings here in the big leagues than I did all season in the minor leagues."
I remember he got the win in his major league debut May 6th that year. That was at Miller Park in Milwaukee. And it did not allow an earned run in his first 8 big league relief appearances. He was really the anchor of that bullpen a couple of years ago. 2-2 on Jock Peterson. Tishner won't bite. Full count, 3-2. Utley on deck. Jock Peterson, that one is way out of here. He has homered in every game in this series, and it's 14-3.
Another center cut fastball.
Now 17 hits for the Dodgers. Chase Utley.
Different look out of the windup for Evan Marshall than we've seen in the past. Very quick step back and then into his delivery. I don't remember him pitching out of the windup when he was here
I believe you're right. Yeah.
I thought he was always an out of the stretch guy. This is a very abbreviated windup.
Just a really quick short step back there. Quick leg kick, and he fires. All part of the tweaking that goes on at the minor league level. Chase Utley saying, where was that one?
Well, it ended up behind him. Hard slider that started inside and continued to work farther in.
47, Howie
Even
Kendrick.
has his second strikeout. Here's Howie Kendrick. Brandon Drury is there. Dodgers add 3 more. They lead it 14-3 as we head to the ninth. Led the Dodgers 3-0. They trail it 14-3 as we start the ninth inning. And the left-hander J.P. Howell is on out of the L.A. bullpen. Jake Lamb, Yasmani Tomas, and David Peralta 2 up. Howell's 43rd appearance.
You really do have to tip your cap to the Dodger bullpen today under tough circumstances with Bud Norris, the starter, going down after only 2 batters in this game. Ross Stripling thrown into the fire right away. He gave up a couple of runs, but everybody else out of that Dodger bullpen has put up zeros today.
And the 6th reliever on in this ball game for LA. Jock Peterson, who homered as a pinch hitter, takes over in center, replacing Kike Hernandez. Hernandez will shift to right, and Yasiel Puig comes out of the ball game. Pitcher spot now 6th in the LA order. Jake Lamb has an RBI and a fielder's choice. He has singled, walked, scored a run. Bounces this one into the shift. And Turner, the third baseman, throws him out from way over there in right field. 1 away. Diamondbacks have only 3 hits in the ball game. All 3 were singles, and all the hits came in the 4th inning. They have had only 2 base runners since the 4th, a pair of walks. First time this season the Diamondback bullpen has given up 3 home runs in a ball game. Strike 1 to Yasmani. On the ground, a second for Chase Utley. 2 outs. Diamondback Live post-game show follows the ball game. More difficult questions for Chip Hale after this one.
I know from experience at some point you get really tired of answering the same questions day after day after day. You try to coach them up early in the afternoon, during batting practice, during side sessions. You think maybe you've made a breakthrough with an individual player or as a group, and then they go out and pretty much do the same thing the next night.
This should do it. Turner back out there, same spot, and that's the ball game. The Dodgers win the finale 14-3. They take 2 of 3 in the series. And the Diamondbacks finished 3-7 on this 10-game road trip. They won 1 each in Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and Los Angeles.
Yeah, just a mind-numbingly bad road trip just about for everybody on the roster. You'd like to think going back to Chase Field will turn around their fortunes a little bit. Hopefully that'll be the case.
Diamondback Live post-game show is next. Reaction from the clubhouse as the road trip comes to an end with a difficult loss in Los Angeles after the big win last night. 3 hours and 43 minutes. D-backs led at 3-0. They lose it 14-3. Diamondback Live post-game show is next. It's brought to you by CenturyLink here on Fox Sports Arizona. More from Los Angeles right after this.